I'm a Christian reading the Quran for the first time, and before we just dove right into it, I actually did some background search first so I could know some important, relevant information, and I took some notes, right? So, first of all, uh, the Quran was revealed to Muhammad over the course of 23 years, right? So, from 610 to 633, and it was revealed only to him, directly to him, and he used to recite the revelations. And then he a lot of the culture at the time was for people to memorize things orally. So a lot of people would memorize what he was saying, but he also had scribes who used to write down the revelation that he was receiving at the time. And they used to write on leather, uh, bones, palm leaves, stuff like that. But during Muhammad's life, the Quran wasn't compiled into a single book. After his death, it was compiled for the first time, and then around 650 after Christ, the guy responsible, the guy in charge, was like, we have some different variants um, around the regions, so let's standardize it. So he burned all the variant of copies that they had to have only one final variant. So that's kind of suspicious if I'm being honest, right? Let's be honest. But anyway, so that's kind of, there's more story to it, but to summarize it all, that's kind of it. And that's completely different from the Bible, because the Bible was written by 40 people over the course of 1500 years, so 1500 years, in three different continents, in three different languages: Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek. And it's a collection of books. The Quran isn't a collection of books, it's a collection of chapters. It's one single book. The Bible is a collection of books, right? We have the Old Testament, the New Testament, 66 books in total. That's what Christians believe to be the final compilation of the Bible, 66 books, right? And just a comment, I think that it's interesting that to write the story of humanity, God used many humans. It wasn't just one person, at least the Bible version of it. But anyway, so I read the first surah. It basically means the opener or the opening, even though it wasn't the first revelation that Muhammad received. But in the time that he received this revelation, he was still living in Mecca. He lived in Mecca his whole life, but then he moved to Medina. From the time of the first revelation to the moment that he moved to Medina, that's 13 years. And then he lived another 10 years in Medina, right? So he received this revelation in Mecca, and it basically means the opening or the opener, but it wasn't the first revelation. Another thing that I realized is that the Bible isn't chronologically organized like the books, but it does start with an order, like it has a progressive order of things that happened. So the Torah is chronologically organized, but the Quran isn't. So the first chapter, the first surah, is just a prayer. It's a worship to Allah, and it says that he's deserving of worship and prayer because he's entirely merciful, and it also says for Allah to guide us on the right path. But basically, it's a prayer that worships Allah and says that He is deserving of prayer and worship because He's merciful. Contrast to the Bible, the first chapter of the Bible is the first chapter of the book of Genesis, and the first chapter ever of the Bible shows us God creating the universe. So it's God creating the earth, humans, animals, the nature. So it's interesting. Like the first verse of the Bible says that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So it's not telling you to worship Him, but it's showing you why He's worthy of worship in action, not just giving you a command. Instead of saying God is powerful, it shows us Him being powerful. He's literally creating the earth. So I just thought that was a nice uh, change of perspective if you think about it. Like the Quran says, Allah is merciful. The first chapter of the Bible shows us God being merciful and creating everything with love. So yeah, it's it's actually quite different from one another, but I know that that's still not the story. I haven't gotten to the story of the creation of the world in the Quran yet, so I will do a comparison of those as well when I reach it. But yeah, I don't want to make a very long video. That's just my first thought, my first considerations. Um, but yeah, I don't have much to talk about the first surah. It's a prayer, and in worship of Allah. But yeah, I'll be back to talk more about the next surahs.